When my cabin was built back in 1970, it was built by a team of people, many of which who were working on the Alaska pipeline. This unit here, the bunkhouse, was built by those same pipeline workers so that they had a place to stay while building the main cabin. I first showcased the bunkhouse in a video titled Bunkhouse Reveal. It was also the same time when I introduced a couple characters to the channel. If you're new to my channel, I will on occasion put in a comedy skit here and there. It was at that point when I introduced Dewey to the channel, who is a slimy contractor more interested in lining his pockets than he is in actually doing what you requested. You can see that I put in all the finest finishes in this backup cabin for you. Now, that was all in jest. I actually don't have a problem with most contractors out there. It was also a parody on the home renovation shows and how they make them seem like they're going to be this grandiose thing, but in reality, they oftentimes leave the home in worse condition than they found it. But I also introduced Sass, who is my friendly local Bigfoot who roams the woods around my cabin.
Dewey? I might know Dewey. Who's asking?
But today, this bunkhouse is once again the star of the show. I want to give you a review of what the bunkhouse entails, and maybe you guys can help me come up with some solutions for some of the issues that I'm having with the bunkhouse. The very first thing that is quite apparent is this water stain in the roof over my head. And I'm not sure how old the roof is, if this is original to the cabin or if those shingles have been replaced at some point, but I will be taking that off eventually and putting on a new metal roof. So that is the first thing that, you know, your eye is drawn to when you look at the building. The next thing that I see, other than, you know, the fact that there's still some debris out here that needs to be cleaned up, is this awning. And the awning did fine until last year when the snow load actually broke some of the rafters along, or the fascia board at least, that was supporting the awning itself. And as you can see, the awning is nothing but 2x4s. This is not, in my opinion, substantial enough to withstand the snow loads that we get here. And I am guilty of not coming and cleaning the roof off of the awning or the bunkhouse in the winter months. So shame on me for that, but that awning I don't think would make it another winter. Looking at the front of the bunkhouse, you can see that it's quite textured. Well, that's because this is some old closed cell spray foam that was applied to the sheathing of the bunkhouse. It's only on this side. The other sides are just plywood that's been painted. Nonetheless, I would love to scrape that off and cover the plywood up with some metal siding. However, this foam is an environmental hazard, and so I'm not sure if I'll actually remove it or if it'll just get covered and encased between the plywood behind and the new sheathing on the outside. And then if you notice this funky little window right here, this window is an old windshield out of an old car that they've just flipped upside down. It gives you a nice little vantage point out of the front of the bunkhouse, but it is also an area where I'm sure a lot of snow and rain water collects. So that is something that is going to need to be remedied as well. Maybe it'll just get flipped over and put back in, who knows, or maybe that window will come out and I'll put in something different. I would probably look like I'm about ready to rob a bank, but scared of germs. In reality, I need to clean this bunkhouse. I have a guest who is coming out to stay with me for about a month, and she's a dear friend of mine, so she's always welcome to stay with me in the cabin. But if she would like a place of her own while she's here, then I'm going to grant her the opportunity to use the bunkhouse if she would like. But in its current state, I would never allow somebody to stay in here. By no means am I suggesting that she has to use the bunkhouse, but it's been overrun by mice over the course of this winter. And so I need to disinfect everything. I just found something I was missing. That's very funny. Okay, good to know. Good to know. In my last video, I talked about how the measuring cups have been going missing from my house and that there have been other things that have gone missing and that I haven't been able to find, you know, for the last couple of years. And for the life of me, could not figure it out. It never dawned on me to come look in the bunkhouse to see if I lent it or someone borrowed it. But I've been missing this coffee strainer. And here it is, sitting in the kitchen of the bunkhouse. So there's one mystery solved. Yeah, the measuring cups, I'm still baffled. It probably wasn't Ermin, but how he's getting a whole measuring cup out of the kitchen and out of the cabin, I don't know. Who knows? But at least I found this, so I can stop worrying about where the heck did my coffee filter go. But considering it's been in the bunkhouse with all the mice, I'm not using it. This bunkhouse. There's actually still butter in here. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Ugh, gross. Oh, I want to puke. I don't like mice. And there's mice droppings everywhere in here. Oh, it's so disgusting. Okay, back on with the... I would not stay in this place knowing that mice have crawled all over everything in here and defecated, urinated on every kitchen surface. These cups that have set out, these coffee filters, the utensils that are stacked up here on the counter or our shelf. Mice have been all over everything in here, and there is no way that I could, like I said, in any way let anybody stay inside this bunkhouse knowing what I know. I am grossed out. I don't like mice. I often get asked the question about whether or not I would ever turn this into an Airbnb. I don't think that I ever would. For one is, I really did come out here to be alone. I like my own company. I like the solitude and not having to worry about others. And I do have a tendency to try to make sure that everybody's taken care of when they're in my presence, right? I don't want anybody to have to do anything. Don't lift a finger. I'll take care of you. I've done that for the entirety of my life. So this is my time to do it for me. But if you are looking for a place to stay when you're in Alaska, then get in contact with Rob and Sarah over at Curmudgeon. They have a fabulous cabin that they rent out. They're a true Airbnb rental cabin here in Alaska, where you are going to take one of the trains up to a whistle stop on their section of the tracks, and then they'll come get you and they'll take you right up to their cabin. So if you're looking for a place to stay, that's one place that I do recommend that you check out is the Curmudgeon. So needless to say, all of what you see in here as far as like these utensils over here, the coffee cups, all of that, I'm going to have to take out and sanitize. I'm going to have to wash everything and boil it all down. And then, provide a containment unit so that mice can't get to those things. Now, granted, this bunkhouse was set up by my contractors. It's been a couple of years since they've been in here. So anything that's in here is surely outdated by now. Like this chicken stock. Let's see here. Expired a year and some ago. Can you see that? February 3rd of 23 is when this expired. So stuff like this has got to go. And the candy up there. I have a friend that always jokes with me that maybe I'm not cut out for this life. I'm definitely not cut out for mice. I don't like mice. I'm sorry, but if I'm apologizing right now to anybody who's thinking I'm being wasteful. But it's plastic cutlery and straws and tea that mice have crawled all over and done their business. So all that stuff can be replaced. I'm throwing it all away. I don't even care about these plastic little cups. Stuff like that can be replaced very easily, very inexpensively. Whether it's mice or an ermine or whatever that's been occupying the cabin, I'm pretty sure it's mice because these look like mice droppings and not ermine droppings. They're coming in from the roof line and they have annihilated this chair. So this is going out. Whoa. Oh, God. So my contractor, when he was here, he draped a sheet over the cot. But mice have gotten under the sheet and have pissed all over his pillows. So, sorry, dude, but I think your pillows are trash. You might want to bring some new ones if you ever come back out. Because I'm throwing all that away. Look. I don't know if you heard that. All the droppings landing on the floor. Oh, so gross. I realize that there are people that are living in way worse conditions than this bunkhouse is. And I feel for those people. I really do. I really feel for anybody who is struggling with keeping on top of their chores and keeping a tidy home. I feel for you. I really do. And I feel for people that are willing to go and stay in a base camp knowing that it's been overrun with rodents over the course of a winter months, and that you just work around it and deal with it. Now that I've taken all the bedding off of the cot, take this off as well, I'm going to set the cot upright to keep mice from getting back onto it. These things might get taken to a laundromat and washed there, because I'm definitely not washing this in my cabin. I hand wash everything, so I wouldn't really be able to effectively wash those anyhow. But, ooh, this is a very heavy cot. Oh, and this is another chair. Couple pairs of, or a pair of socks. Whoa. Nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Sorry, dude, but I'm grossed out. All right, so I'm going to pull this cot out, clean behind it, because there's a bunch of droppings on there, and then I'm just going to flip it up so that mice can't, you know, crawl all over it and what have you. This other sleeping platform, believe it or not, doesn't look half as bad as that one did. There is a air mattress down below that needs to be deflated and also put away. Why did I decide to do this today, you might ask? I don't know. I don't know. Blech. If ever you find yourself having to clean up after mice, do yourself a favor and make sure that you are wearing protective gear. Gloves and a respirator, or at least a handkerchief like I am, so that you're not breathing in any dust that is being stirred up from their dry fecal matter. I don't know if this is a thing here in Alaska, but back in Colorado, in the southern part of the state, the mice carry a disease called hantavirus, which affects the lungs. It's a respiratory illness in people. And you get it from the dry fecal matter that gets stirred up into a dust in the air, and then you breathe it in, and then it settles in your lungs. So they carry other diseases as well. All I'm saying is make sure that you're taking precautions if you're cleaning up after mice. And as I was saying earlier, I realize that there are people that live in way worse conditions than this bunkhouse is. In all honesty, the bunkhouse isn't all that bad, considering that it's been unoccupied for a couple of years and that, you know, there have been mice in here. It could be way worse. But I want to finish getting this cleaned up so that if my friend does decide she wants to use it, she'll have that opportunity. I realize that I'm being kind of persnickety about this whole bunkhouse. I just, you know, I want my friend to have a good time while she's here. And I don't want, I think I would lose sleep knowing that she was staying in here if I didn't do everything I could to make it as cozy as possible. If she decides that she wants to stay in the bunkhouse, she might not. She last year, you know, stayed in the cabin with me, and that's fine. She is a very dear friend of mine, so I welcome her to stay in the cabin with me. But if she wanted, you know, to get away and have a little bit of solitude herself, then she could stay in here. One issue with this, though, is there's no electricity in here. As much as I love the outdoors and the ruggedness of this lifestyle, I still like things that are aesthetically pleasing. I'm a girly girl. There's no denying it. And that means that at some point I would like to be able to redo the interior of this bunkhouse. Put in an actual ceiling, put in, you know, some flooring. Maybe. I don't think it actually needs it. The plywood flooring seems to be fine in here. I would love to put in some bunk beds and also to redo the little kitchenette, make it more of a proper built-in unit. It still isn't going to necessarily have a stove in it or anything like that, but I would at least provide a little, you know, butane burner, There's always the outdoor propane cooker that I have, things like that. But this whole unit needs to be redone. Other than packing up all the things that my contractor left behind, I don't know how much more I could actually do in here, though it is a lot cleaner than it was when I started. And I'm about ready to lose any available light that I have because rain clouds are forming overhead and there's no electricity in this cabin. My electrician should be out here in the next week or two to rewire the main cabin and also to run electricity back to this one. I'll leave a link to the video at the end of this one that explains what's going on with the electricity. But in the meantime, I welcome you to stick around for some outtakes. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. And I will look forward to seeing you in the comments of this video. And I'll be back next week with more adventures here on my property. Until then, please stay safe and take care. Like always, I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm not sure how old the roof is on here, but I would like to take that asphalt, tongue-tied, but I wouldn't stay in here. There's no way. I'm going to sound like a prissy prima donna, but I'm a prissy prima donna. I don't like mice. If I counted up how many times I've said that in recording what I've recorded, you guys would be like, oh, okay, we get it. You don't like mice. I don't like mice. You've contributed through a YouTube membership, Patreon, PayPal, or you've donated to the channel in other ways. Your support means a lot to me. So with that being said, that concludes today's video. I want to thank you for watching and joining me today. As always, stay safe and take care until the next time, and I'll see you then.